Hello, welcome to the latest episode of Tokusatsu Thursdays. Today, we're reviewing the Ultraman Orb television series by Tsuburaya Productions, broadcast on TV Tokyo. This is the 28th series in the Ultraman franchise, and it commemorated the 50th anniversary of the Ultra series, right? Um, this show has 25 episodes and stars Hideo Ishiguro, Miyabi, Matsuura, Naoto, Takahashi, Hiroki Nario, Takia Oyagi, and Shingo Yanagi Sawawa. Oh man, I'm sorry. Yeah, uh, each episode is around 24 to 25 minutes, and this show is available on Blu-ray by Mill Creek Entertainment, which not only comes with the television series, all 25 episodes, but also comes with the Ultraman Orb movie, right? And it also comes with, each of these also come with a nice booklet, plus the digital copy of the show, right? So, sorry, I was distracted by something. So yeah, I watched this show on Blu-ray. It is available on Tubi if you guys want to check it out. So the show came out 2016. It's about these group of paranormal researchers who have their own website called Something Search People, which comprises of the leader Naomi, who works several part-time jobs to fund their operation, right? You have Jetta, who is the cameraman, and is supposed to be like the cool one of the group, who drives the car, right? And you have Shin, who is the nerd with the bowl cut and the glasses, right? So, like, yeah, the first episode was giving me a lot of Nope vibes, because it's about, like, our characters going around trying to get footage of flying monster for their website, right? Which they're paranormal researchers, right? Where they encounter this cool wanderer guy named Guy Kurenai, who is actually Ultraman Orb, who has a ring device and a deck of cards that he uses to become Ultraman Orb, which, because of a battle that happened over 100 years ago, where his beloved Russian waifu Natasha died, right? He no longer has his true form, right? Which is called Ultraman Origin, which there is a spin-off of this show, which is like 13 episodes, called Ultraman The Origin Saga, which I also have on Blu-ray, right? Which was also released by Mill Creek Entertainment. Yeah, we're shilling because we want more Tokusatsu to get physical releases in the West, because you know, if Tokusatsu series gets released physically, that means professional subs, not the crappy subs that we have to deal with online, right? So yeah, Guy Kurenai is Ultraman Orb, who has to fuse two separate Ultramen to become Ultraman Orb, right? So like he starts off with, like, I think it was like 2 cards, which is Ultraman the original and Ultraman Tiga, and he can fuse those two together to create the form Ultraman Orb Space Sim Separian, right? And later on in the show, he gets 3 other forms, right? Which is Ultraman Orb Burnmite, which is a combination of Taro, and they're not showing me I think it was Taro and Jack, right? I could be wrong. Right. Wow, they're not showing me I thought they would show me the combinations. They're not showing me the combinations, right? You have the other Ultraman forms, which is Ultraman Hurricane Slash, which is Zero, and another form, and you have Ultraman Orb Thunder Breaststar, which is Ultraman Zoffy and Ultraman Belial, who is the main villain in the Ultraman Zero series, and and during the halfway point in the show, he gets his main form, which is his old form, which is Ultraman Orb Origin, right? Which he has this really crappy looking sword, which is called the Orb Caliber, which allows him to do, which has a little wheel on it where he can do different attacks with different elements, right? So the main plot of this show is that the Something Search people, yes, it has that dumb English name, which is supposed to be reminiscent of the original Science Patrol, the Super Science Patrol from the original Ultraman series, which this is like the first Ultraman series I watched that didn't have, where the main characters weren't part of the like alien enforcement group. Only one of the main characters is actually from said, like, you know, this world's version of the Science Patrol, which is Naomi's uncle, Shiba Kuawa, who you think is supposed to be like a random patrolman for this Science Patrol ripoff, which is called Vitol, right? But he turns out to be a big shot, right? So it's basically our characters investigating monsters that were released by the main villain of this series, which is called Jugless Juggler, who looks like a pretty boy with a suit, who carries around a katana, who seems to have a grudge with Ultraman Orb, Guy Kurenai, who they do keep Ultraman's Orb's identity secret from the main characters, where it's a subplot where, like, you know, you have Jetta trying to figure out what Ultraman Orb's identity is, right? But yeah, Jugless Juggler has a ring device similar to Ultraman Orb that he can use with monster cards to summon various monsters, and his main goal of the show is to summon the King Devil Beast, right? Which Ultraman Orb fights like not even halfway through the show, right? But it turns out it wasn't the real King Devil Beast. Jugless Juggler also has an alternate form where he's this like flamed, like a flaming armored warrior, which looks pretty cool actually. I remember I had him for the Ultraman Gacha game that you can get at the Apple Store or whatever. Which the Gacha game is, yeah, it has all the Gacha game BS, but it's not a turn-based; it's a beat 'em up, so it has that going for it, right? And his alien form, let's just call it that, is pretty cool, right? Yeah, I would say it's pretty cool, and it is pretty cool, right? So yeah, I like the show. I like the cast of characters. They did something different instead of having the group of characters be part of, you know, the alien enforcement group, right? Their whatever version of the Science Patrol. It's like, you know, people. It's like, you know, people trying to run a website, trying to get rich and famous, right? With their you know, website, which I forget the name of the website, but yeah, they're called the Something Search people, right? Yeah. So I'll just go in my likes and dislikes. I like the Ultraman Orb design and the various forms. They were pretty good. The show, despite the fact that the main characters dress like little kids, the show isn't as kiddie as other tokusatsu shows from this era, which is nice. Which was nice. The monster designs were good. I like the villain. I like the characters. I like the characters. There was only one recap episode where in the previous fucking series, which was Ultraman X, had like 3 separate like recap episodes, if I remember correctly, which they even include the last one on the Blu-ray release because it was like the last episode. So it's like, well, we're not even going to bother. So at least there was only one recap episode. Thank God. Yeah. Now I'm going to go to the dislikes of the show. Most of the monster fights in this show were pretty crappy compared to Ultraman X's fights from the previous series. The only fights from this series I liked included were the ones with what was it called? Thunder Breaster, which is the Ultraman Orb form that's a combination of Belial and Ultraman Sophy. Those were the only fights, and those were the only fights that were good, except for the ones at the very end of the show, right? And those fights were pretty brutal. Like, there's a point where like Ultraman Orb Thunder Breastar cuts a monster's tail off and then goes to beat the monster to death with its tail. Yeah. Yeah. So, like, besides from the other fights at the end of the series, the only fights that were good involve Thunder Breastar form, right? Yeah. Fuck. Let me pause for a second. My other problem with the show, which is a very big problem, right? The show sets up that, the main villain of the show, Juggler's Juggler, was supposed to be like a henchman for a big bad. That turns out to be all bullshit, and Juggler's Juggler is pretty much the only villain of the show, except for like random aliens that show up and the alien mafia, which has been in previous Ultraman shows. The Don Nostra and his like invasion force, right? Which they were only in the show they weren't in the show that long, right? And this show does the fucking thing. Here's the thing where, okay, you have like it's the whole thing where like it's the Vegeta thing where like you introduce a character as a bad guy and he becomes a good guy right later on. When a show does that, I give them a pass if they only do it once. They do that once, but it's like they did that with the only real villain of the show, which is like, what the fuck, right? Oh my god! And then there's the thing where it's like, like if fucking Guy had killed Juggler, like all the main the Earth would pretty much be safe, because he's like the main reason why all these monsters show up, right? And why the Earth almost gets fucking destroyed. And this turns out to be bullshit, but it's like Juggler's Juggler was the reason why Ultraman Orb lost his powers, his original form, and how his girlfriend died, right? It was responsible. Which later on you find out that didn't actually happen. He didn't actually kill her, which makes Ultraman Orb even more stupid, right? But it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, this guy killed your Russian waifu, and you're gonna let him live when he's the main problem of this show, right? There's a point where other villains who given up on like evading Earth, but are after Juggler because they want revenge, right? Because Juggler fucked them over, and there was a point where like Juggler was gonna get killed by the one villain, right? And like guy steps in to save him, which was so fucking dumb, right? And then there's the fact where it's like they do the second episode ends the second last episode ends on a cliffhanger where it looks like the main villain killed one of the main characters. Turns out to be bullshit. Which this is a kids show, so I guess I should give it like, you know, I should give it like a pass, but yeah. But I thought, oh man, it was the thing where like, oh man, this show finally grew some balls. It's like, oh no, it's like that character's not dead. All right. Kamen Rider, it's like, fuck, man. Like, Kamen Rider once in a while will kill characters, right? So it's like, why the fuck can't Ultraman do that? It's like, gee, I know they're made by different companies, but holy fuck, they have the same audience, right? One thing I should mention, like, the last couple episodes almost had, like, a movie quality feel, right? And then it's funny how, like, one of the white extras from Ultraman X, right, was in the crowd, like fleeing the capital, right, in the second last episode. Right? So I'm like, oh man, it's that guy, that guy who looks like Armin from Comic Book Cast 2. He's he's in this show as well, right? But yeah, overall, I like the show, but it has some problems, and I'm giving it, a 6 out of 10. And there was also the thing where the show looked like it had a lower budget compared to X, which I could be wrong, but it did have that feel. So my next Tokusatsu series review is going to be Super Sentai Zyuranger, which was the first which was the Super Sentai series that was the first to be adapted by Saban, right? But we're not going to start watching that yet because, like I said in the previous review, I'm going to rotate between working on anime reviews and Tokusatsu's series reviews. So we're going to do another anime review, but I'll pick a short one, and then when that's done, I'll start working on my Zyuranger review. So I'm still working on what anime series I'm gonna pick for the poll, but we'll post that poll during the weekend. All right, guys, that's it for this review piece, and make sure to check out next week's episode, which I have no idea what I'm gonna review next week, but we'll pick something. Peace.